Well, I'm joined now by Cerie Bullivant from the organisation Cage, which has been campaigning for Mr. Aamer's release. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
What's your reaction? There'd been some doubt that he would actually get out in the end.
Yeah, well, we've come close a few times, and there have been a couple of occasions where his family have been told he was about to be released and he hasn't. So everybody's over the moon to hear that he's finally on a plane and due back in the UK very, very soon.
What do you say to people who say, well, actually, he is a Saudi citizen, he shouldn't be coming here?
Well, firstly, his wife is a British citizen, his 4 children are British citizens, and if he was actually returned to Saudi Arabia, purely for marrying a non-Saudi without permission, he could face potential imprisonment and potential criminal convictions, just for the act of marrying a non-Saudi. Is that the sort of country we are, that we would send someone away from their family into another situation where they're also likely to be tortured?
What do you expect to happen to him? We were just hearing from our reporter Jim there saying that it is likely that he will be monitored once he comes back here.
Well, I think the first thing that's going to happen to him is he'll be going to hospital. He's very poorly and in very poor health after 14 years of torture. The Senate report describes the sorts of ways that they tried to break the hunger strike. So even the American Senate said that the rectal feeding through the anus, force feeding, amounted to torture. And so in the first instance, it will be him going to hospital, getting the medical attention that he so desperately needs, and then reconnecting with his children, reconnecting with his family. He's got a 14-year-old son who he's never seen.
The question is asked, you know, why would he have gone with his family to Afghanistan at that time? That decision is in the end the reason that he ended up in Guantanamo.
Well, no, the reason that he ended up in Guantanamo was because he was kidnapped and sold for a bounty, and the Americans at that time in Afghanistan were buying any foreigner who was found in Afghanistan for $5,000 a time, which, when you're in Afghanistan, is a lot of money. He went there, and this has been clearly proven many times, with Muazzam and Beg. They were setting up girls' schools for the education of girls and building wells. Now, I can't actually think of a more noble thing to do than to go to a country that recovering from 20 years of war, where girls weren't being educated, and trying to give them that step up.
How do you expect him to see things, having been incarcerated in Guantanamo Bay for 13 years, not charged, cleared for release in 2007, and having still stayed for so many years after that? Will he be an angry man?
I think each person who comes out of Guantanamo tends to deal with it differently. Muazzam Beg has often been complimented by even those that disagree with him, with the fact that he's been so forgiving and so kind of the people who were his torturers in Guantanamo, even having them to come stay with him and visit him in the UK. He's been on speaking tours around the country with ex-Guantanamo guards. So I think however Shaker deals with it will be come out soon. But I think he has every right to be angry if that is the way that he chooses to deal with this.
Cerie Bullivant, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on.